Every day, humanity generates 328 million terabytes of data, but the physical drives holding our family photos, financial records, and medical research are temporary. Modern storage formats, like solid-state drives, rely on a process called charge trapping. They hold microscopic electrons inside a silicon barrier to represent the ones and zeros of digital data. Over time, physics takes over. The barriers degrade, the electrons leak out, and the information vanishes. This vulnerability, known as bit rot, has plagued computing since the beginning. Even the magnetic tape reels from the 1950s eventually lose their magnetic charge, requiring constant copying and rewriting just to keep the files alive. Today, we've scaled that same problem up to a planetary level. The cloud is really just massive buildings filled with millions of temporary hard drives. They require immense, uninterrupted amounts of electricity and cooling to stop the hardware from failing. Because these servers rely on billiard magnetic fields, they are susceptible to sudden disruption. A massive solar flare or a severe electromagnetic pulse could wipe out exabytes of data in a fraction of a second. If our power grids fail, or we lack the resources to maintain these server farms, our digital footprint evaporates. We are staring down a potential digital dark age unless we find a way to store data without relying on a constant flow of electricity. Microsoft's Project Silica is attempting to solve this by abandoning electrons entirely. Instead of trapping a temporary electric charge, engineers are permanently altering the atomic structure of high-purity quartz glass. To do this, they use a femtosecond laser. This tool fires extremely precise pulses of light at an incomprehensible speed, 1/4,000,000th of a second. The laser penetrates the quartz to carve out microscopic three-dimensional shapes called voxels, or volumetric pixels, inside the glass. This moves storage from the surface of a disk into the actual volume of the material. By stacking these voxels in hundreds of layers, engineers can densely pack information. The specific size, depth, and angle of each tiny distortion translates directly into digital ones and zeros. Reading the glass requires an optical microscope to scan the plate. Artificial intelligence then decodes how light bends around the carved voxels, translating those physical shapes back into a playable video or text file. The glass plate can then sit on a shelf indefinitely. It solves the problem of bit rot by hard-coding data into a physical architecture that requires zero electricity to maintain its memory. A permanent archive must survive outside the safety of a climate-controlled server room. It requires the durability to endure severe, planetary-scale environmental disasters. In laboratory stress tests, researchers baked these data-encoded quartz plates at 500 degrees Celsius. They submerged them in violently boiling water. They have scrubbed the plates with steel wool and exposed them to harsh chemicals. And because quartz is non-magnetic, it is immune to electromagnetic pulses that destroy traditional hard drives. Quartz glass is chemically inert. The data written inside it will remain intact for at least 10,000 years, acting as a highly durable physical backup for human knowledge. You won't find this technology inside your phone. Writing data with a femtosecond laser is a slow and deliberate process, making it useful for long-term cold storage rather than daily operations. That cold storage capability is already being put to the test in the remote Arctic, at a facility known as the Global Music Vault. Buried beneath the permafrost, this zero-energy fortress operates entirely offline. The frozen environment ensures that even if modern infrastructure collapses, the quartz plates sealed inside will remain preserved. We have finally developed the engineering capabilities to outlast our own hardware. Because writing to the glass is a permanent, physical act, it forces a difficult decision. Space is limited, and not every file can be saved. We now have to choose what specific pieces of culture, science, and history belong in the master script we leave behind for the year 12,026.